friends, I'm Randall. I thought I'd make a little video about some things that we've been trying to do in class lately, the past few weeks. And exercises, movements for the hips, the low back, the pelvis. And I think they're challenging for a lot of people to do, and for whatever reason, maybe just because so many of us sit so many hours during the day that that area tends to be kind of locked into a certain position, kind of drops out of your brain's consciousness, and to wake that area up, to bring it back into your ability to move it more consciously and deliberately, I think would be a good practice, not only as hip openers, but how it might affect your walk, your every other posture and movement that you could do, including the health of your all those tissues, the joints, the pelvic floor itself, the organs of your abdomen, your digestion and such. So the movements are pretty simple, but they're not necessarily easy. So maybe some things to think about here. First, just some simple circles. Can you move your hips side to side, let's say? And notice as I'm doing these, I'm letting my upper body kind of sway opposite to the direction my hips are going. So it's kind of like this type of movement, right? Hips are going one way, upper body, chest, shoulders, and head are going the other way. So it's that kind of movement. Then can I do a front to back movement? And I'm letting my head and my upper body again move opposite to the direction of my hips. So from the side, it's something like this. All right? So then you get pretty good at that, and I think it's hard for a lot of people even to figure out how to move their hips. Maybe you bend your knees a little bit to get the lower body more fully involved in the movement. And once you're pretty comfortable with that, can you put it together like I just did in a circle, not only side to side, and maybe watching yourself in your phone, your iPad, a mirror would be great to see how you're actually moving compared to how you think you're moving. So then you put it together into a circle. And this is also good for your balance. You're moving your center of balance around. You're shifting the weight through your feet. Your vestibular system is moving and having to constantly update your location in space. So that's good for the brain, for your cognitive functions as well. And then can you start to refine that a little more by isolating the movements more around the low back, the pelvis, the hips. So now, let's say you're going to not just move the hips side to side, but you add a more up and down type of movement into it. So for this one, maybe you bend your knees a little bit and you practice just moving your hip up and down along this line of movements, not so much out to the side, right? But it's more up and down. So now the pelvis is, you're tilting your pelvis. That's a great exercise to try. And notice if the rest of your body is involved, it would be a good practice to wonder and ask yourself, why am I having to move everything else in order to get this part of myself to move? So can I start to not only let the upper body move like we did at the beginning, but now can I keep my shoulders, my upper body, my rib cage relatively still and just move my hips, my pelvis up and down? That's a good practice to learn. And then can you do it forwards and backwards? And again, it's just the pelvis mainly, rocking forwards and backwards, a little bit like your cat-cow. But I'm not having to move the rest of my body to try to get my hips forward. That could be cool too. You can, this will improve your dancing, hopefully. So can you do the up and down, the tilt like this, keeping your upper body still? Can you do it forwards and backwards? And even do this forwards and backwards tilt without having to use your abdomen so much. So you can, in effect, keep your belly relaxed, relatively relaxed as you move. It's almost like you're moving below the navel. It's pretty cool. How will that affect all your other balance poses? Your ability to hone in onto your center of gravity, to feel where you are in space in relation to gravity. Could be fun. Give that a try. Namaste.